Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Vaetchanan. It is the second Torah portion in the book of Deuteronomy. And in this week's Torah portion, we have in chapter 5 the Ten Commandments. Now, this is the second time the Ten Commandments appears. The first time is in the book of Exodus when it actually happens. It happens very soon after they come out of Egypt. They go to Mount Sinai, and there we have the whole story of Revelation. It's a very, very important story, and that is when the Ten Commandments are actually given. Here in chapter 5, we have Moses reviewing the story of the Ten Commandments. He is personally repeating the Ten Commandments to the nation of Israel as a way of review and as part of his whole speech that is referring to all the different commandments that the nation of Israel has been commanded. In this speech, by the way, he repeats some commandments that have already been said to the nation, but he also mentions many, many new ones that they would not have been aware of until this point. And of course, these are all commandments that he has been given by God, but he is now choosing this opportunity to teach them to the nation of Israel. Now, while most of the Ten Commandments are the same, there are some differences. And one of those differences is in the commandment referring to the Sabbath. In Exodus, the first word of this commandment is zachor, which means remember. The commandment begins, remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it. Here in Deuteronomy, the first word is shamor, which means protect or to observe. It can be translated either one, protect or observe the Sabbath day to sanctify it. Now, it's very interesting. Just a short time ago, I had a conversation with a very dear Christian friend in the United States, and she said to me, for the first time ever, she realized the difference between those two words. And she was very taken aback by it because she felt that this commandment of observe the Sabbath day, watch and protect the Sabbath day, was something that was speaking to her directly. And first of all, I want to, and I will, get to what this means in a minute to all of our Christian friends. But first of all, I want to talk briefly about how our sages, how the Jewish tradition has treated these two words and what they each come to mean. So the word remember the Sabbath day has been interpreted to refer to all the various things we do on the Sabbath day to make it holy. For example, we make kiddush. Okay, we say special blessing on the wine, also Friday night before the meal, also Saturday midday before the meal. And that is an action that we do in order to remind ourselves or to actually sanctify the day. It is a day, for example, that we make sure we are doing pleasurable things. We are having wonderful meals, big meals, family meals. We wear nicer clothes. All of these things are things that have been part of our tradition since the time of Moses. That enables us to remember the Sabbath day. It's activities that we add to our normal level of activity in order to make this day special, to remember it differently. In other words, I would say instead of remembering, to mark the day differently and sanctify it through these additional activities. Observe the Sabbath or protect the Sabbath, which is implicit in the word shamor, that is been said to, the interpretation of that word is to denote all the various things we are not allowed to do on the Sabbath, because if we were to do them, we would desecrate it. So, for example, we don't drive in a car. In old days, we didn't ride on a horse. We don't travel. We don't work. We don't do, a number of things. We don't cook. Okay, in the old days, there's a lot of discussion about we don't harvest wheat and we don't grind the wheat and we don't make bread. All of these things are different activities. But bottom line, we don't work, we don't cook, we don't drive. These are things we don't do on the Sabbath. And by refraining from these activities, we are essentially guarding the Sabbath from activities that would mar its holy nature. Okay, so those are two different aspects of it. So The question now becomes, I have a lot of Christian friends who are debating and deliberating on this issue of the Sabbath. What does it mean to us as Christians? They ask themselves. Okay. Now, as a Jew, I believe that these commandments, the 10 commandments and all the other commandments in the 5 books of Moses and beyond, are given to us as Jews. They are not given to the Gentiles. They have a message perhaps for the Gentiles, but they're not given to them as commandments. And that is a classic Jewish view. And therefore, I don't believe that the Gentiles, Christians, or whoever are obligated to keep any of these commandments, whether the positive ones or the negative ones. However, Sabbath does exist. We know this. Sabbath exists. God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested, and that's a universal concept. And the question, and that's number one. And number two, Christians value the 10 commandments. They find it, to the extent that they have often led battles, particularly in the United States, to revere the 10 commandments and to try to make sure that the messages of the 10 commandments reverberate throughout the land. And of course, most of the messages in the 10 commandments are indeed universal. Believing in one God, not believing in pagan gods, honoring your parents, not to murder, not to be adulterous, not to steal, to give honest testimony. All of these things are clearly very universal types of commandments, things that we would say would be the basis of a just society. But what do we do with the Sabbath? Is that also universal? And I believe, and again, this is something that is totally open to interpretation, and I would love to hear from you if you have different ways of looking at it. I believe that the message of the Sabbath is a message that is definitely universal. There is a day that we are supposed to sit back and make it a different day. That we human beings are not meant to work 7 days a week. Everybody needs one day that is not a work day, one day that is different, but not a day that instead of working, you laze at the beach all day and you do nothing except get sunburned, okay? It is a day that is different, that should be filled with holy purposes. It's a day that you can stand back from your day-to-day activities, but you devote it to spiritual things, to family things, to prayer, to enjoyment, but not enjoyment and eat, drink, and get married and get drunk kind of, enjoyment. Enjoyment of enjoying each other's company, enjoying your family, enjoying good food, of course, singing and dancing, but in a very spiritually, positively uplifting way. What day is that? Well, clearly the original day was on a Saturday. The church moved it to Sunday. This also has become a conflict among some Christians. I am not taking a position on that day. There's no question in my mind that Saturday is the day. However, if people are observing it on Sunday, that's also fine. Now, there are people that will disagree with me, but whatever. My feeling is that what every human being can take from this idea of Sabbath is to remember it, to add content to it that is different from what you normally do, dress nicely, have a better meal, whatever, and protect it. Refrain from activities that will profane that day and that will turn it into just every other day. And with those messages, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy your weekend, whichever day you keep the Sabbath, and to whatever extent you keep the Sabbath, enjoy it. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.